If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear.
Well, hello you gorgeous mother truckers, you, and welcome to another video. Yep, I know it's been a while since I've been sat in the studio, but here we are and we're back again. So, many of you may have know about this particular thing that I'm going to cover, but just in case you haven't, we'll go through it, through the article. So, let's bring it up. So, families fury as police officers who tasered and pepper sprayed a 92-year-old amputee in a care home are found not guilty of assault. I mean, colour me shocked. Now, I'm going to play you the video that is here, where you can actually see what happened, just in case you missed it. So, we do the usual, we mute the mic, and we carry on.
Just pop it down for me, on the floor. Pop it on the floor. Donalds, pop it on the floor. As many as we need. Put the knife on the floor now, or you'll be sprayed. Do as you're told. Put it down. Put it down. Donald, put it down.
Seriously?
Last chance.
Can you just hold that door? I can't get a good angle.
Donald, put it down. Put it down now. Come on.
Last chance.
Right, put it down. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. Put it on the floor.
Do it now. Drop the knife.
Donald, drop the knife.
Donald.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down!
Taser, taser!
Just pop it down for me. On the floor. Pop it on the floor.
And as you can see there, he really
Pop it on the floor.
didn't present any threat whatsoever, did I? No threat whatsoever. Yes, okay, admittedly, he's holding a knife. There is no two ways about that. He is holding a knife. Don't know why it keeps playing. He's holding a knife. It's as clear as day. But do you actually perceive this gentleman as a threat? Because I don't. And there could have been a lot of easier ways of dealing with this. But no, they decided that the pepper spray and taser would be a lot more effective. Not knowing whether or not this guy had a pacemaker or not, which would have short-circuited and potentially killed him. I'm going to presume that they bothered to check that, but knowing the police like we do at the moment, they probably didn't. In any case, let's carry on. So, the family of a 92-year-old amputee who was tasered and pepper sprayed by two police officers spoke in a fury as the pair were found not guilty of assault. PC Stephen Smith, 51, and PC Rachel Komoto, 36, were both clearly charged related to Donald Burgess, a single-leg amputee and wheelchair user. So, literally, to be fair, just looking at that, you perceive that man as a serious threat to everybody, your life, genuinely. He's a single-leg amputee and he has to use a wheelchair. He's going to even struggle to get up. And you're going to know. It's going to take him while you've got plenty of time. He's not a threat. This is massive overreaction by two clearly inexperienced, well, I'd say inexperienced, 51 and 36. They should know what they're doing. But clearly they don't. Clearly they don't. Any case, after he was restrained at Parkbeck Care Home in St Leonards on Sea, East Sussex. The jury at Southwark Crown Court returned a verdict of not guilty to the charges of assault occasioning actual body harm just as 2 hours being sent out for deliberation by the judge yesterday. I'd love to know how they came to that. Outside the court, Donald's family added that they were very disappointed and saddened by the verdict after an incredibly distressing 3 years. Completely understandable. They said the verdict adds to our sense of injustice regarding the callous manner in which Donald, a 92-year-old amputee in a wheelchair, so he was in a wheelchair, so that's even less of a threat. How did these two officers deem him a serious threat to their safety? He's in a wheelchair, for God's sake. He's not going to rush you. Really? Was treated by PC Smith and PC Komoto in their brief but life-changing interaction. From the beginning, we were engaged by these in these legal proceedings in hope that lessons would be learned and that the violent actions of these officers wouldn't be repeated against other vulnerable citizens, which they are. We will continue to work towards our aim. We will hope that the coroner will resume the inquest into Donald's death, which would have been paused due to the court case. PC Smith was cleared of 2 charges relating to discharge of Parva spray and baton, while PC Komoto was cleared of charges relating to discharging her taser. After the verdict, the Independent Office of Police Conduct, the IOPC, said both officers would face gross misconduct proceedings for potentially breaches of police standards of professional behaviour relating to the use of force, authority, respect and courtesy. So the IOPC deemed what they did was ridiculously overreaching, but a court didn't. And I'd really, really like to understand how the jury came to that decision, because nothing that they did there was right. That man, even though he was armed, he's in a wheelchair, you're going to see him start moving. He isn't a threat to anyone at all. And the IOPC agree with that. But the court didn't. It is assault. I mean, there's the 2 officers in charge who did it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for that at all. There was no need for it. There's Mr. Burgess holding serrated cutting off with the eyes. He's in a wheelchair, for God's sake. PC Komoto will face further misconduct allegations relating to the comments she made on social media referring to the incident. Oh, so not only did she do that, she started to run her mouth off on social media over it. The care home called 999 after Mr. Burgess reportedly grabbed a knife when he was given it to cut his food and threatened to stab staff before poking one of the employees with the stomach with it. Did they actually cause an injury, though? After the incident, Mr. Burgess was taken in the hospital, contracted COVID, dying 22 days later on the 13th of July, aged 93. The court had previously heard that it was out of character for Mr. Burgess, whose movements with the knife were described by the deputy care home manager, Donna Gardner, as extremely quick. Yeah, okay. The reason for his behaviour that day, we now know, was his delirious as a result of a urinary tract infection. So the man was sick. A UTI literally will send you insane. But apparently, that's okay to taser. Once officers arrived, PC Smith sprayed the synthetic Parva pepper spray into Mr. Burgess's face, and used his baton to try and knock the knife out of Mr. Burgess's hand, with PC Komoto deploying a taser. There was no need at any time for her to shoot that taser. At all. And again, did they know whether or not that man had a pacemaker? Because that would have killed him. It was alleged that PC Smith had emptied almost an entire can of Parva spray into Mr. Burgess's face, a claim he denied. Looking at the spray, he didn't. I don't think he emptied the entire canister, but again, no requirement for Parva spray either. All these actions took place within 83 seconds of the pair entering the wheelchair. So in 83 seconds, they walk in to see a guy in a wheelchair holding a knife. He's zero threat. They didn't obviously clear to bother to check or anything. They just overreacted. 83 seconds to discharge your taser to a guy in a wheelchair. The IOPC, quite rightly, are looking at this and going, you two really fucked up. Genuinely, you did. But somehow that is an assault. It is, because he had no way of defending himself. The body cam footage of the incident showed how, at one point, Mr. Burgess told officers, "I'm dying." He was then later handcuffed to his wheelchair and taken outside. Later, another officer outside the care asked if Smith had used a Smithy special. Smith responded to describe it as a standoff. How is it a standoff in 83 seconds? That's not a standoff. Even after spraying, he clutched onto the knife at the point where he was going to knock it out of his hands. He said, just to stand off with him, gave him all the options. No, you didn't. You gave him 83 seconds. You told him to put the knife down about 4 times and decided, fuck this, I can't be bothered. My dinner's going cold or something. That is not a standoff. 83 seconds is not a standoff. No matter how much you think it is, it isn't. Speaking to the care home manager, Steve Cooper, shortly after the incident, Komatsu says, "We don't like doing that, but what can you do? Take longer than 83 seconds. Actually pay attention to what's in front of you instead of overreacting. Massively overacting." Prosecutors say the force used against Mr. Burgess, who threatened staff with a serrated cutting knife and telling them he would take pleasure in murdering them, was excessive and unnecessary given his age and physical condition. Correct, it was. Massively. Unbelievable. These two people walked away free from actually attacking somebody. Right, so there you go. Mr. Burgess, who had multiple diabetes and carotid artery disease. Right, so he's not a well man. He's not a well man. At all. In a statement during the police interview and read to the court by prosecutor Paul Jarvis KC, PC Komatsu said, "Our objective was clear, to disarm Mr. Burgess as quickly and as safely as possible. I do not believe my use of the taser was disproportionate. Yes, it was. I believed he posed an immediate and significant risk to himself." No, he didn't. At no time was he showing that. She denied failing to treat Mr. Burgess with tolerance, respect and courtesy. When he asked how many more knives there were, he demonstrated clearly a real-time awareness of the situation. He made his continual refusal to drop the knife all the more concerning for me. You said it about 40. It's 83 seconds. 83 seconds. You didn't give me a chance to do anything. Mr. Komatsu said she only learned of Mr. Burgess' age after the incident, was very shocked, saying she thought he was much younger. Fuck off. What a load of bullshit. And even if he was much younger, he's still no threat to you. That doesn't justify what you did at all. You got away with this. I treated Miss Burgess with respect and courtesy before and after force was used, she added. No, you didn't. You shot him with a taser after 83 seconds. Because apparently he was a threat. Bullshit. Absolute utter bullshit. I treated Mr. Burgess also, even though he tried to stab PC Smith earlier, it did not necessarily. No, he didn't. He moved the knife. He was nowhere. You were nowhere near him. He's in a wheelchair. He's not going to suddenly get up and run at you, is he? If you're talking about that little twitch of his hand is an attempt to stab, is bullshit. Come on, so I do not believe in my constant that use of my taser was disproportionate, excessive and unreasonable. That's my honestly held belief. Then you need to go back to fucking training. There was no need to use that taser. He had a knife in his right hand in a particularly strong grip, which ultimately took the combined efforts of two police officers to remove from his grip. Well, the grip would have increased because you just put 60,000 fucking volts through him. And every single muscle in his body would have tensed up. But you're not going to bother to mention that. The second you hit him, if you've ever been hit by a taser, and I have, because it was part of some stupid training shit, yeah, why not? Let's feel what it... And somebody said, would anyone like to know what it feels like? So I thought, why not? I'm telling you now, every single muscle in your body goes into contraction. I mean, it is the worst form of cramp you've ever had in your entire life. So the reason he had a strong grip on his knife is because you pumped 60,000 volts through his body. Everything cramps up and goes tight. Really? And that's the excuse you're going to use? And clearly a jury of idiots bought that. The blade was serrated and several inches long. Yeah, and he was still no threat. Mr. Burgess said he refused to relinquish the position of the knife, which meant using tactical options to disarm him from a distance. I mean, we got PC Smith using his baton. He didn't use his baton. He tapped him. He tapped him. God's sake, I'm sorry, but you're just basically saying that we can't deal with a 92-year-old guy in a wheelchair. He indicated he would use the knife violently against anyone who stepped into his fighting arc. His fighting arc is in a fucking chair. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Piece of Gun said it's the first time she discharged a taser in 4.5 years, despite being specially trained to use it. Bollocks! 83 seconds, you fired that, no need to. You need to go back to training because your assessment of that situation was piss poor at best. You didn't even need to draw your taser. He was zero threat to you. In his statement, PC Smith was unaware that Mr. Burgess was 92 and that he was a wheelchair user at the time. He's sitting in a fucking wheelchair. Is he in a wheelchair? Is he? Or is he just in the chair? So you literally now basically said you turned up. Okay, you turned up. You didn't ask anything. You didn't ask anything about him at all. Nothing. You just steamed in there because you wanted to play the hero and overreacted. I was not aware of the vulnerabilities at the first time and first encountering. Therefore, they did not impact my thought process when considering the most appropriate action. Utter bullshit. You walk in there, you can see this guy isn't a threat. Okay, he's there with a knife, but come on, really? Disagree with that massively. Pause. We'll go after the appropriate action in 3, 2, 1. At the time, I was totally focused on the knife in his right hand. The pensioner was taken to hospital after the incident and later contracted COVID. He was diagnosed with catheter-associated urinary tract infection and delirium following the incident. He died 22 days later at 93. In his closing speech, defence lawyer Mr. Barry said, "What happened to Mr. Burgess is obviously very sad. We have all the parents, some of them elderly, would not want that to happen to their elderly father." After elderly father in 3, 2, 1. But he reminded the jury Mr. Burgess had threatening care home staff and had been concerned enough to call the police. It's important to look at the case in context. Yeah, okay, we'll look at it in context. A 92-year-old wheelchair-bound man holding a knife who's delirious with a UTI, who's presenting no threat at all, was met 2 police officers who in 83 seconds decided he was a serious threat enough to attack him with pepper spray and hit him with a taser. Let's take it in that context. They made no effort at all to take the time to deal with the situation. At all. The job of his officer is bluntly to get the knife out of Mr. Burgess' hand. They asked him that's why they asked him to drop the knife almost 20 times in 83 seconds. After the verdict, Judge Christopher Hare thanked jurors for their efforts in a very emotional sad case over 6 days and said, "It is clear you followed the evidence of this case. I'm grateful for the personal level and of course he's grateful." What? So they just went, oh, okay, the police were right and this guy deserved to get everything he got? I don't think so at all. At all. Judge Hare thanked the members of Burgess' family for their quiet dignity listening to the evidence, adding it must not be easy for them. IOPC Director Emily Barry said, "Our thoughts and sympathies remain with Donald Burgess. We know this case, including the body-worn footage was released during the trial, has caused understandable concern in the community. It was right that the evidence was put before the jury so officers could be held accountable, and we respect the jury's decision." Even though, of course, they're not going to go, they're going to do their own thing in any case. Now, I'm sorry to say that there are many times where I will back, well, let's rephrase that. About 5 years ago, I was very, very pro-police. Now, no. Genuinely not. I find that they are, in this case, woefully idiotic. I mean, you know, if you walked in there and he was standing up with that knife, Yeah? Okay, that's different. But he sat in a chair. You've turned up at a care home and you've not bothered to ask anything about the bloke in there. At all. One of you could have stood at the door and started trying to talk him down, tell him to put the knife down and that, while the other person's going, right, well, how old is he? What's his conditions? Have we got any issues with him? Has he got a mental health problem? Blah, blah, blah. And ask questions. But no. We turn up and in 83 seconds, we've decided to parva spray him, tap him on the... I mean, no offence, mate. With that baton, you should be able to easy knock that knife out of his hand. But no, we overreacted. She panicked. Fired the taser into his legs by the look of it, because she wasn't even aiming it properly. And they got away with it. I mean, by the sounds of it, the IOPC won't let them get away with it, because if you read between the lines, the IOPC realised that that was a fuck-up. It was a clusterfuck. But how a jury could sit there and see that evidence and come to the conclusion that that wasn't assault, I don't know. I mean, it said he poked somebody in the stomach with it in the care home. Apparently, there was no mention of an injury to the person. So no one was hurt. And you should have took a couple of minutes just to find out who the hell this guy is. But you didn't. You've got a 92-year-old who's threatening to kill people and he's stuck in a chair. You didn't even bother to check. You didn't even check if you've got a pacemaker, because you'd have killed him if you'd fired that taser into him. You made no effort you just wanted to get in there, deal with the idiot and come back. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a dangerous job. But you can assess... I mean, you look at that. As soon as you see the picture of him just sat there, holding a knife in a chair, does he look like a threat to you? To me, he presents a minimal threat at best. But then again, I would have also spent a couple of minutes finding out who the hell the guy is. A bit of background history, because it can make a massive difference. Even by somebody going, he's really out of sorts, he's not been right the last couple of days, this is very unusual for him. Then you'd know there's maybe potentially there's an issue. But no, 83 seconds, you've tasered him, then complained about the fact you couldn't get the knife out of his hand because you made all his muscles cramp with 60,000 volts. Yeah. I'm sorry, it just doesn't wash. They got away with it. They got away with an assault on an old man. The IOPC will probably deal with them for gross misconduct, because that's what at least the minimum that could happen. And I know you'll probably get somebody, oh, well, it's this, that, you didn't... If this had been after 10, 15, 20 minutes of trying to calm him down, maybe. But 83 seconds into it? No, sorry, that just doesn't wash. It literally is, let's just deal with this idiot. And the more I look at that video, and the more I'm thinking about it while talking to you wonderful mother truckers, that female officer panicked with that taser, because she didn't even aim it. She just pulled the trigger and then shouted, taser, 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 which is supposed to shout when you're firing it. Take a look at the video. She's aiming downwards. He goes like that and gives him the most gentlest of taps on his wrist. He probably didn't even feel it. She went, oh, he's attacking her. Fired the taser. Went, taser, taser. He wasn't even aiming. You hit him in the legs. You weren't even aiming. And you've had specialised training. You know full well you're supposed to hit up here in the chest. You hit him in the legs. And so basically you were lucky you got a contact down there. She panicked. So much for specialised training, eh? And also a quick question before we do bring this one to a close. What happens if the taser hadn't worked? What are we going to do then? Because tasers don't always work. In fact, in America, they don't like using them at all because, there's too many instances where they don't do anything. In any case, 2 videos coming up at the end of this one. One will be the last one uploaded. The other one will be the one that the gods of YouTube with this mighty algorithm selected for you. It's called The Chosen One. You can like, you can share. Share's a good way because that's the only way these videos are going to get out to people. Because there seems to be an issue in my channel not being pushed out anymore. It was doing really well, and then it just died. I wonder why that was. Sharing is probably the only way to get out. If you agree with what I'm doing and you like what I do, just hit the subscribe button. It costs you a penny, completely free. You spin that little bell that gives you a notification that I've done another video. There are ways, if you want to support the channel down below. And with that, I'm done. So, until the next one.
Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right.